of income statement and balance sheet. What we saw yesterday was only the first two steps among these long number of stages or steps, that we learned how to analyze a transaction and how to pass a journal entry. In doing so, what we did, we fixed a rule. We fixed a rule in the sense that we devised two terminologies. These two terminologies are debit and credit, or we can also call them codes. So we assigned some of the codes to some of these options available out there, which is like a transaction can lead to increase in an asset or reduction in an asset, similarly increase in a liability or reduction in a liability, or an income or an expense. When it is the case, then we devised using certain argument, and one of them was an arbitrary assignment, is that some of these will be called a debit and others will be called credit. Now, once we know what we are going to call a debit or a credit, we can go ahead and do something that is called a journal entry. So this is what we started. So we started passing our journal entries, and what is the rule we followed? We looked at whether an asset is increasing or a liability is increasing, or what is happening among these 8 combinations. So these are the illustrations we saw. For example, first one was that owner is infusing money into the business. We saw that cash is increasing and capital is increasing. So when cash and capital are increasing, then the rule is that cash is an asset, so asset increase should be a debit, and liability increase should be a credit. So that is how we put first entry as cash debit 5 crores and capital credit 5 crore rupees. Similarly, we went ahead discussing a few more transactions, but the rule remained the same. Second one was that owner is this business is taking a new loan. The loan amount is 3 crore rupees. What would we do? So when you take a loan, your cash increases and a liability called loan increases. So once again, the rule says the asset increase should be a debit and the liability increase should be a credit. Then we did a few more such entries. Let's check those. I don't know what this drawing is. Okay, so this drawing was for representing the fact that how the first assignment was an arbitrary assignment, where it's not by any particular argument, but it's just by convention. So that is where I explained the convention to you. And some of the other journal entries we did was that, let's say the company purchases inventory, or the firm purchases inventory. So inventory is going up and cash is going down. So when whichever asset is going up, we call that one as debit, and whichever asset fell down, we call that as credit. So that is what we did in yesterday's class. Later on, after this, what we did say, we saw some example of expenses. We said that effect of expense is that every time it is reducing the retained earning. But we said that we don't want a statement which looks like 500 addition and subtraction, where every line says retained earning plus, retained earning minus. That information, even though conceptually true, it is of little use to us. Why? Because we want to look at income statement and take certain decisions. So what we said is that instead of retained earning, we will replace it by the reasons of increase or decrease. So instead of calling retained earning debit and cash credit, we will say salary expense debit and cash credit. Similarly, when you are doing rent expenses, instead of saying rent expense debit and retained earning debit and salary payable credit, we will say rent expense debit and salary payable credit. Then last one we did, or rather we did not. Where is the last one? There should be one more transaction. Did I stop here? Oh, here it is. Last one, I assumed that some inventory has been sold off. So when inventory is sold, so what did we do? We said that two transactions shall take place in case of a sale. One transaction to record the expense, one transaction to record the revenue. When you are recording the revenue, cash is coming in. So asset increase should be debited. When you are doing a sale, retained earning is increasing. So increase in a liability should be a credit. So as continuing with our example, we said that all the incomes should be replaced as well. So we replace the retained earning with the name of the income. So we say we'll write sales credit instead of retained earning credit. And similarly, we did the expense leg of the transaction, wherein instead of saying retained earning debit, we said COGS credit, COGS debit, because it's an expense debit, and then inventory credit to record the fact that inventory has fallen down. Now, after all of this, I wanted all of you to notice that whenever any income was happening, it will always get credited, and whenever any expense is happening, it will always get debited. What was the reason behind that? Reason behind that was that expenses reduce retained earning and incomes increase retained earning. Now retained earning is a liability, so liability reduction is called a debit and liability increase should be called a credit. That is why all the expenses are called a debit and all the incomes are called credit. So this is where we were up till the last class. All good so far? Okay, any questions?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Today what we'll see is, we'll see the entire process. So step number 2, 3, 4 up till 5, complete preparation of income statement and balance sheet. Up till there, we will see the entire story today. So for this, I will need these entries sideways somewhere. So I don't need these now. These are okay. These are done. Okay. So why I'm spending time rubbing these things off, because I want everything visible in same frame. It's not like I suddenly ran out of software. So you see. Okay. Where it is. Okay. So number 6 and number 7, I'll just quickly write them down for your convenience. So number 6, we would have assumed a sale figure. So 6A will be COGS debit and inventory credit. I will change the numbers a little bit. Let's say 3 crore worth of things have been sold for 4.5 crore rupees. Okay. So I'm changing the numbers, that goods costing 3 crore is sold off for 4.5 crore rupees cash. So the next leg should be cash debit and sales credit for 4 crore 50 lakhs and 4 crore 50 lakhs. Okay, these were lakhs. Okay. Let us take a few more transactions and then I will record rest of the stages. Let's say number 7, that this business purchases a machine which has a life of 5 years, and the machine had, so 5 years is the life, 5 years is the life. Let's say you have purchased it in the beginning of the year and you purchased the machine for total of 1 crore rupees, of which you have paid 20 lakhs and you have not paid remaining. So basically 80 lakhs you haven't paid. Let me repeat the information. You purchase a machine with a life of 5 years for rupees 1 crore. Of that, 20 lakh rupees you have paid upfront and 80 you'll be paying later on. Now, how we would record this one in a journal entry? So machine is an asset that is increasing. So asset increase should be, no. So asset increase should be debit. So I will record the machine increase at 1 crore rupees. Now cash is reducing with what value? Cash is reducing with 20 lakh rupees. And you have a new liability called outstanding for machine or machine payable, whatever you want to call it. Outstanding for machine, 80 lakh rupees. Right? Now here you need to notice, I think you would have noticed somewhere earlier also, or maybe not, that there can be a journal entry which has more than one credit or more than one debit. That is a possibility. So dual aspect doesn't mean that there will be only one debit and only one credit. What does it mean? That there will always be a debit and a credit. And the total of all the debits and credits will be equal. So here if you check all the debits and credits, the total are equal. Okay. So that is for machinery purchase. Okay. Let's say one more thing. Let us purchase of one more inventory. Let's say inventory of rupees 2 crores are purchased. 2 crores worth of inventory is purchased, but you have not paid everything. Let's say you have paid only 25 lakh and remaining 175 is outstanding. So I'm assuming a new transaction wherein you have purchased inventory worth 2 crore rupees of which you haven't paid everything. You have just paid 25 lakh rupees. So how would you enter this into this journal entry? So there is one asset increase. So this is an asset increase, inventory increase. This one is cash reduction, asset reduction, and this one is a liability. 1.75 crores is a 1.75 crores is a liability. So let us enter this. So inventory is increasing. So asset increase should be debited. So that is why I am writing inventory debit 2 crore rupees. This is what worth of inventory you are getting. One asset is reducing as well. Which asset is that? That is cash. So that is why I will call cash as credit 25 lakh rupees. And then there is a new liability called accounts payable credit 175. Fine. Liability increase, go check your rules. Liability increase should be credited. Asset reduction should also be credited. That's why both of these are credited. And asset increase should be debited. That's why this one is debited. Everyone comfortable up till here? Okay, perfect. Now let us say the accounting period ends. Now, if accounting period ends, do we need to provide any more entry? Let's say somebody just now informed you that this accounting period has ended and nothing else happened apart from these 8 transactions. Do I need to pass any more journal entry? Or do I need to assume any other transaction is what I'm asking?
So some kind of transaction to record whether there's a profit or loss, sir.
Okay, so that is the ultimate objective. One thing that is missing is that I told you that the asset has a life of 5 years. And now I am announcing that 1 year has passed. So nobody need to remind you separately. Always there are certain transactions which happen simply because time has passed. And depreciation is one such example. Okay, so the moment I said that there was one asset that was purchased for 1 crore rupees in the beginning, and now I'm saying that year has ended, nobody needs to tell you separately, now provide depreciation. If they tell it, then good. If not, then automatically you need to assume that because 1 year is over, we need to provide for depreciation. So don't forget that. Okay, so we will provide a journal entry for depreciation. In our accounting equation, what we would have done? In our accounting equation, in machinery, we would have subtracted the depreciation amount. So 1 crore was the total value. Sorry. 1 crore was the total value. Of that, 1 year worth of depreciation we would have provided. And because this one is representing an expense, so in expense, we would have shown that owner's claim is also fallen down by 20. This is what we would have done. Yes, no, I see some blank faces here. Tanya, are you getting what? Okay. Now let us record this into journal entry. First of all, why did we do it? We did it simply because accounting period is over. So whatever proportion of asset has been consumed, we need to show it as an expense. That is our matching concept. So by matching concept, we are doing this journal entry. So let's provide this. So retained earning falling down should be debit. And machinery falling down should be credit. By what amount? By 20 lakh. Now, as I said earlier, we don't want to maintain retained earning again and again. We would rather like to put the reason. So what do I call this reason? There can be many names, but one frequently used name is depreciation expense. So I will use this because this is a standard expression. So I will say depreciation expense. If you want, you can simply call it depreciation. If you want, you can call it depreciation on machinery. But at the end of the day, this is an expense. Okay. Let me give one more piece of information. So everybody understood why did we do this journal entry? We simply did it because the accounting period was over. Okay. Let's give you one more piece of information. Let's say the loan you had taken was in the beginning of the year, and the loan carried an interest at the rate 6% per annum. That's all. So only information was that on the day when you had taken this loan, then it was mentioned that this loan is at the interest of 6%. That's all. Now nowhere any information is mentioned, whether it is paid, whether it is not paid, what happened to this, whether you are supposed to pay, whatever. nothing is mentioned, then what you would do? Any idea what we would do? Can anybody take a attempt at this? You guys understood what am I asking? I am asking that at the time of the loan, let's say only information was given was, let's say the loan carries an interest of 6%. And after that, no information about interest anywhere. What do we do? That's the question I'm asking. Yeah.
We need to deduct it because it was used to like carry out our business. So at the end of the year, we need to deduct as expense.
Okay. So if let's say I was doing it in accounting equation, what I would have done?
So we need to decrease the retained earnings, and we need to maybe
create a liability also.
Loan.
So decrease
We need
cash,
to create a liability. We will not create a reduced cash. If it was said that interest is paid, then we would have assumed that it is paid in cash. But here, no information about payment at all. That is why we will assume that it is a liability. We will create interest outstanding. Okay. Now this one may seem like it is contradicting with one of the information I told you in some of earlier classes, that if nothing is mentioned, then assume the payment has been happening in cash. Did I tell you some classes ago? Now that one is different from this. For example, let's say somebody has said machine is purchased versus machine is purchased in cash. These two information are one and the same. So for example, let's say they say only the information is machine is purchased, then by default the assumption is that it is in cash. But if nothing is mentioned, then don't go about assuming that machine must have been purchased. Okay, so when any information about any transaction is given and no mode is provided, only then the default assumption is that mode is cash. For that, they need to mention that the transaction has happened. If no transaction itself is mentioned, then assumption is it would be outstanding. Samajh aaya difference? Yes, no?
So could you just repeat, sir, if no mode is mentioned?
Basically, what I'm saying is that if a transaction is mentioned, but the mode of transaction is not mentioned, let's say simply said rent expenses for the year is 200. Rent expense is 200. When they say rent expense is 200 and they don't mention anything, that means it has been paid in cash. But when they don't talk about rent at all, then you can't assume that there would be a rent expense and it would be paid in cash. That is the difference between this interest and when I said that the default assumption is in cash. Because here there was no mention at all, that is why we will assume that now rent is outstanding. You should have paid, but you haven't paid it. ठीक है, समझ आया difference? Okay, because I am assuming that there was no information about interest at all. But why do we need to provide for the expense still? That, as somebody already mentioned, because of the matching concept. Because you have taken the benefit of the loan in this period, that is why the charge of the loan should also be accounted for against this period. What is charge of a loan? Interest is a charge for you taking the loan. So interest should become an expense in this period itself. So we would reduce retained earning by the interest amount, and we would also create an outstanding by the interest amount. Everybody got this? What are we talking about? That this information we did, this piece and this piece, simply with the help of information that when the loan information was given, it was said that this loan carries an interest at the rate 6%. So it is because of this piece of information we are doing this last entry. So let's do it now. So number 10 is retained earning debit, retained earnings debit, and interest outstanding credit by 18 lakhs. So once again, we don't want retained earnings. We would want to mention the reason. So the reason, once again, feel free to create your own name. I would like to call it interest expense. You can create your own name, which is intuitive enough. Once again, it is, let me tell you one of the tips here, that it is always an advisable idea to keep on using these suffixes or sometimes some prefixes, so that later on it becomes clear that two heads will have the word interest common. So this one also has a word interest, This one also has the word interest. This one also has the word interest. Now, which is what? Once I have used some suffixes, now the distinction is clear that this one is an expense and this one is a liability. Fine. So it's a good idea to keep using prefixes and suffixes to keep the items meaning clear. Everybody with me so far? Sab samajh aa raha hai? If you're not understanding anything, feel free to stop me and ask. Okay. Now, let us say the year has ended and now we are good to move to step number 3. So for what we did, step number 1, which was analyzing a transaction, step number 2, which was passing a journal entry. Now we are moving to step number 3, which is called preparation of something that is called a ledger. Now, what is a ledger? In preparation of a ledger, we prepare something that is called T account. Okay. So there is a very strange reason why it is called preparation of a T account. Let me show it to you. Okay, I can prepare it here. So next stage will be here in this space, so that you can keep seeing these journal entries side by side. So we prepared something that is called a T account because it will look like this. Now, what are we talking about here? If you remember, when I gave you these 5 steps, which is here somewhere. Okay, here. If you remember, what did I say? So journal entries and analysis of transaction will happen every time a transaction happens. Rest of the 3 stages will happen after the year has ended. Okay. On top of that, a ledger will be what? A ledger will be summary of journal entry. A trial balance will be what? A trial balance will be summary of ledgers. So you will see that 2 levels of summary we will prepare. First of all, 1 step of summary and then a summary of the summary. Why do we need that many levels of summary? It will become clear very soon once we see the entire step. Once we have this, then we will prepare our end results, which is what? Our income statement and balance sheet. So let's see this. Let's see how it goes. So now we are talking about this step. We are in step number 3, that is preparation of a ledger. So let's go about it. So once you have all the journal entries, you will prepare a summary of the journal entries. What will it contain? So now you would have noticed one thing, that there are so many times all these items are coming. For example, cash is coming here, 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 and so many other places. What will a T account do is that there will be one T account for cash, and it will record at one place all the reasons which affected cash in one place, so that in one table you can see what happened to cash. Similarly, there will be a table for inventory, there will be a table for retained earnings, there will be a table for each and everything. This is what we are going to talk about in the 3rd step, that is preparation of a ledger. All we will do is we'll prepare a T account. Now let me show you the process of preparation of a T account. So process is as follows. We will go to each and every journal entry one by one and decide if we already have a T account, then we will enter this effect into the same T account. If not, we'll prepare it now. It may sound a little bit abstract statement, so let me demonstrate what am I talking about. So the first entry says cash account debit. So it says that go to the cash T account, put in the debit side 5 lakh rupees, or sorry, 5 crore rupees. So right now I don't have any T account, forget about cash T account. So I'll prepare cash T account now. So I will prepare a new T account called cash T account, and I will go to the debit side. Now, what is the debit side? Every time you prepare a T account, the left hand side is always called a debit side and right hand side is called a credit side. Once again, this one doesn't have any argument that why only left side is called debit. This is more of convention. If you want, you can flip it around and then also the entire stuff will work. So conceptually, you are not making a mistake. Just out of convention, we'll stick with this nomenclature or this pattern. So this is what we'll do. We'll go to the cash T account. We'll go to the debit side and we will put 5 crore rupees. So this is the cash T account. This is the debit side. So we will put 5 crore rupees here. Let's see a few more so you will understand what am I doing. Next one says go to capital T account, put in credit side 5 crore rupees. So right now I don't have any capital T account, so I'll prepare it now. So capital T account, once again this side will be debit, this side will be credit. So this time it says in credit side put 5 crore rupees. So I put in credit side 5 crore rupees. And that's all. I have transferred both the entries in the first journal entry to its corresponding T accounts. Okay. यहाँ तक समझ आया? Let's see a few more so you will understand it completely. What are we talking about? Next one says go to cash T account, put in debit side 3 crore rupees. So do I have a cash T account? This time yes, I already have an existing one. So in the same T account, I will transfer this in the debit side 3 crore rupees. Okay. So if you already have a T account, then enter the item into the same T account. Don't keep on preparing the T account for the same name again and again, because otherwise in that case it would not be a summary anymore. Summary means that whenever cash got affected, you would want to enter it here itself. So that is when it will give you a summary of cash. Similarly, this one will give you a summary of capital and so on and so on. Let's see next one. So this is done, this is done, this is done. Next one says go to the loan T account, in credit side put 3 crore. So do I have a loan T account so far? No, I just have two, cash and capital. So I'll prepare a loan T account now. So loan T account is this, debit side and credit side. It says put in the credit side 3 crore rupees. So this is the credit side, this is 3 crore rupees. So now you would see that how mechanical of a process this one is. This step is 100% mechanical. That put it here and bring it somewhere else. So let's see next. Inventory debit 450. Do I have an inventory T account? No, not so far. So I'll prepare it now. Inventory T account. This is the debit side, this is the credit side. It says put in the debit side 450. So in debit side I put 450. Okay, so did you understand the process? I'll move for rest of the things a little bit faster. So in case anybody is facing any issue, feel free to stop me. So next one says cash credit 450. I already have a cash T account. So in the same T account, I will put 450. This one says credit side. So this would have been incorrect. I need to put it in the correct side as well. So make sure that the side is correct. So here I need to put 450 in this side. So this is done. This is done. Next one says salary expense debit side 60. So do I have a salary expense so far? No. So I'll prepare it now. Salary expense T account. In the debit side, I will put 60. So irrespective of the heading, be it asset, liability, income or expense, every T account, make sure that debits are in one side and credits are on another side. Okay. So in the debit side, I have put 60 here. Cash credit 60. So this is cash T account. This is credit. I have written 60 here. This is the 60 I have written. Okay. Let's take next one, rent expense and rent payable. I have neither of these, so I'll open it now. So a new T account will come into picture, rent expense. In the debit side 25 and a new T account called rent outstanding. This time in the credit side 25. Okay. So this one goes here and this one goes here. Yeah.
Sir, can't we make a single column for retained earnings instead of salary and rent separately?
Okay, you will see. So the question Tanya is asking is that why are you spreading our work so much? You know everything is anyway retained earning. Why are you preparing so many T accounts? The reason will become clear once we reach to the last step of the entire process. So it's almost like the analogy I like to give is that of an operation. So right now I'm trying to teach you all how to do an operation. So far all that I have done is I have just cut open the stomach. Now when you see the entire operation, then you would see the relevance that what was the need to cut the stomach open. So just hold on for with your question for a bit. So you will see the relevance of this later on only when we are in the step number 5, when we are preparing the income statement and balance sheet. Okay, so for now just bear with me with this extra burden that I don't want to prepare one column of retained earnings and write everything there. I want all the reasons separate. Okay, let's see. Rent expense debit and rent payable credit. Now I have transferred those here, so they are done. Next one is COGS and inventory. Do I have a COGS T account? No, so I'll open it now. I need to put in the debit side 3 crore rupees. Okay. Inventory credit 3 crore rupees. I already have one inventory T account here, so I will put in the credit side 3 crore rupees. Okay. Cash, so this is also done. Cash debit and sales credit. Do I have a cash T account? Yes. So put in the debit side 450. So let's go to the debit side of cash and put it 450 there. Next one says put sales in the credit side 450. I don't have a sales T account so far, so I'll prepare it now. Sales T account in the credit side 450. Okay. Next one is machine debit 1 crore rupees. So I don't have any machine T account so far. I'll prepare it now. In the debit side 1 crore rupees. Cash credit 20 lakhs and machine outstanding credit 20. So cash I already have. Let's go to the credit and put 20. So here is cash, here is credit side. Let's put 20. Let's move ahead. Machine out. So this is also done. Machine outstanding is 80. So I don't have any machine outstanding so far. So I'll prepare it now. Machine outstanding. This time in the credit side 80. So done. Inventory debit 200. Cash credit 25. So inventory and cash both are there. So let's go to inventory debit 200. So this is inventory, this is debit side. I put 200 here. And cash credit 25. So this is cash, this is credit side. I put 25 here. Okay. Accounts payable credit 175. I don't have any accounts payable T account so far. So I will write accounts payable, and in the credit side, I will write 175. Okay. Next one is depreciation expense and machinery. Depreciation expense I don't have so far a T account for that. So I'll prepare it now. Depreciation expense T account, and in the debit side, I will write 20. Next one is machinery credit 20. Do I have a machinery T account? Yes, I already have one prepared. So in the machinery T account, I will write 80. Credit side this time. Sorry, it was only 20. Somehow it is not letting me rub off. Okay. So let's see. Amount was 20. Machinery credit 20. Okay. Last one. Interest expense and interest outstanding. Do I have any of these T accounts? No. So let me prepare it now. Interest expense and outstanding, both the amount will be 18 lakhs. So let's prepare it now. Interest expense in the debit side 18 lakhs and interest outstanding in the credit side 18 lakhs. That's all. Very mechanical step. What did I do? This is what I did. I went to every entry in every journal entry one by one, and what did I decide? I decide whether I have a T account for that part already or not. If not, I will prepare it. If yes, I'll go to the same T account and I will write it in the corresponding side. I will write the amount that is involved. So I went to cash in the debit side, put 5 crore. I went to capital, I went to credit side and put 5 crore, so on and so forth. And this process I will repeat for every line on the journal entries. Everything clear up till here? Our step number 3 is almost finished, not yet completely finished. The last step of the step number 2 is that we will find the closing balance of all these T accounts. What is the closing balance? Closing balance means there were these many debits and these many credits. What was the net effect? So basically we will total both of these sides and find out that which side is higher by what amount. So let's do this. So this side total, tell me the total of both of the sides. Tell me credit first. What is the total of credit side? Is it 555?
Yes, sir.
Now, if this one says that there was a debit of 1250 and there was a credit of 555. So what was the net balance? So net balance will be 1250 minus 555. What do you get?
695.
695.
Yes.
So basically, we will write 695 in the debit side of cash T account to denote that after preparing all the ledger accounts, there was 695 left in the debit side of cash. That's what this line means. Net balance was 695. Okay, yahan tak samajh mein aaya? Now you would see that basically all the T accounts are telling you in summary that what is the amount left in those headings. So because capital has only one item, so 5 crore rupees is left in credit side of capital. Loan has only one item, so that's what 300 crore in credit side. Inventory has 650 versus 300. So inventory has 350 crores in the debit side. Similarly, you will go about finding the closing balance of every T account, and that is what completes your exercise of preparation of ledger. Okay, so wherever there is one entry, no need to find any balance, that entry itself becomes balance. Wherever there are 2 or 3 more entries, there you need to do some addition or subtraction. Fine. Now, why was it called a ledger? There was all that it contained were T accounts, right? So when it used to happen on notebooks and papers and pen, then the book which contained all the T account, that book was called a ledger. That is why this step is called preparation of a ledger. Okay. So a ledger contains what? A ledger contains T accounts. Now we have found all the balances. That is end of step number 3. Step number 3 is done. So if you notice, what we have done is we have prepared a summary of ledger. Summary of all the journals. It might not seem really like a summary because there were only 10 transactions. You can imagine that if there are hundreds and hundreds of transactions, then the importance of everything coming into same T account becomes more evident. Okay. Now we'll move to the next step, that is summary of even these summaries. That is called preparation of another statement called a trial balance. So as I said that step number 3 will be summary of journals. Step number 4 will be further summary of this summary, which is what? That is called preparation of a statement called trial balance. Trial balance. We'll prepare a trial balance. Now what we will do, once again, if you thought that preparation of ledger was easy, preparation of trial balance is even easier. All you need to do is find out and write the closing balances of all these headings in one table. Basically, we are writing all the closing balances in one table, and that's it. And we are demarcating debits in one place and credits in one place. Let me show you how. So let's say I will write all the debit balances here and all the credit balances here. So first one says cash. Cash T account had a balance of 695. You see here, 695. So I will write cash in the debit column 695. Next one is capital with a credit balance of 500. So I will write capital in the credit column 500. Next one is loan with the capital credit 300. So I will say loan in the credit side 300. Next one is inventory 350 debit. So I will write inventory 350. Next one is salary expense 60. I will write salary expense and 60. Make sure that you don't make any error of debit and credit changing the lines. Okay. Rent expense debit of 25, rent outstanding credit of 25. COGS debit of 300, and sales credit of 450. Next one is machinery debit of 80. Machinery debit of 80 and machinery outstanding. Machinery outstanding looks like munch something. Credit 80. Last two are last four are accounts payable 175. So I will write accounts payable credit side 175. Next one is depreciation debit side. Depreciation expense 20 debit side. Interest expense 18. So I'll write interest expense 18. Interest outstanding 18, and that's it. So all I have done in this step, I will zoom out a bit so that you can see everything in one visual. That what did we do here? All that we did here is that we entered all the closing balances in one table, which had two columns. One was a debit column and one was a credit column. Okay. Basically, this one not only puts everything in a very short table where it's easier to pick things. Also, at some level, it checks whether there was any error in totaling and balances or not. Now, how does it do that? If you add all the debits here and all the credits here, they necessarily need to match. If they're not matching, that means that you have done some counting error somewhere. So let's quickly check, are they matching? In case you are still staring at the screen, now is the time that you use your calculators. Go ahead, total them up, find out the totals, see whether they are matching. If they are not matching by any chance, that means some totaling error somewhere. Otherwise, because for every debit we have created equal amount of credit, they have to match conceptually. Let's see. Batao kitna aa raha hai?
1548.
1548.
1548 on both sides.
Both sides 1548. So that's it. That means that totaling there is no error. So basically this total you need to be a little bit careful. If total was not matching, then that means definitely there is some error. If total is matching, doesn't mean that there is no error.
Sir, one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like for example, in balance sheet, when we total out things and when we equate things, there is a way where we can simultaneously check in every step that वो equation equilibrium बन रहा है कि नहीं.
Yes.
इसमें can we do such a thing? कि ऐसा तरीका है जिससे for example last में एकदम से पता चलेगा equal नहीं है. But जैसे balance sheet में ऐसा नहीं होता. Balance sheet में हर step पे पता चलता रहता है कि equal है equal.
Oh नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. That is when you are saying balance sheet, you mean accounting equation. Okay, accounting equation is not balance sheet. Balance sheet is what we will prepare today. Okay, accounting equation is where you can see every time that things are balancing. Here, if you want to check that for every journal entry, you can keep on checking that whether things are balancing or not. That every time you are putting a journal entry, every time there will be a debit and credit, and both will have equal amount. Okay, so transaction level, this matching is available, or rather this balancing is available or visible to you only at the level of journal entry. Now when we are doing summary, you are doing some calculation, so this matching might be disturbed because of some calculation error, right? So that will be visible when this one doesn't match, is what I was trying to say. Okay, anyway, when you were doing the journal entry, everything was matching.
So one question, trial balance, what does it mean? Trial balance?
Trial balance is that on a trial level, you are trying to balance some things. You are trying to balance debits with credit. Okay, I don't know whether that is the reason of origin of the word or not. Once again, etymology, I don't know too much, but this table is called trial balance. Okay,
Got it.
okay, now that's it. This is your step number 4. We are good to go and prepare income statement and balance sheet from this. Now you will see that how easy it becomes to prepare income statement and balance sheet once you have the trial balance in front of you. All that you need to do is go to each item one by one and discover and decide a lie once again. So you remember a lie? So we said asset, liability, income, and expense. What we'll do is we will go to every item one by one that are there in trial balance, and if something is an asset or liability, they will move to a statement called balance sheet. If something is an income or expense, they will move to another statement called income statement. This is what we are going to do. Okay, let's do it. For that, I'll need some space. I don't know where I can write so that it is visible. Trial balance and okay, let me try to squeeze it in this much space. I try to zoom in a bit so that things are easier to see. Okay. So remember the process. The process is that there are two statements that will get prepared simultaneously. One is called an income statement. One is called a balance sheet. Okay. What will be the content? Income statement's content will be income and expenses. And balance sheet content will be assets and liabilities. If something is an asset or liability, it will go into balance sheet. If something is an income or expense, it will go into income statement. Let's do it. So first one says cash. So I want everybody to keep prompting that what do you think all of these items are among the four, that asset, liability, or income or expense, what these are. So keep prompting up, keep using your mind. Cash, what is it?
Assets.
Asset. Because it's an asset, it will move to the asset side of the balance sheet. So I will say cash 695. Capital, what is it?
Liability.
This will move into the liability side. I will say capital of 500. Loan, what is this?
Liability.
Liability. So I will say in the liability side loan of 300. Okay. Inventory.
It's an asset.
Asset. So asset side of the balance sheet, I will write inventory. Asset of how much? 350. Salary is expense.
Expenses.
This is an expense. So this one will move to this statement. Okay. So there is one convention that I want you to prepare. So for everything else, I was going one by one. For income statement, leave the top line for sales. And from that, you subtract all the expenses. Presentation wise, this one is more intuitive. It's easier to understand. So only because of that reason, I will put salary a little bit lower. So I will write here salary expense of 60. Next one is rent expense. What is that?
Expenses.
So this one will also move to the income statement. So I will write rent expense of 25. Next one is rent outstanding. What is this?
This is a liability because
This is a liability. So you remember that earlier I told you that always use the prefixes and suffixes. Now because we had used these two prefixes and suffixes, things are much easier for us to determine. So rent outstanding, the moment I see the word outstanding, I understand that this is my obligation. Okay, so it is helping me now. That is the reason why I encourage you to do it. So I will write it in the liability side, rent outstanding, how much? 25. Next, COGS, what is this? Cost of goods sold.
expenses.
It's an expense. So I will write it in the expense. So I will subtract COGS here, cost of goods sold expense. How much? 300. Sales, what is this?
Income.
It's an income. In fact, in this example, this is the only income. So I will write it in the income statement with a positive number. So I will write positive 450. Okay. So now remember, one of the question was asked earlier is that why don't we put everything into retained earning when we were preparing ledgers? If we would have done that, then instead of this, the income statement would have looked like this: retained earning and with the net profit. Would you like this kind of an income statement where there is just one item? This is not a statement any longer, right? So that is the reason why we kept the detail. Why? Because we want to know the detail of all the income and expense. Okay. So let's move ahead. So rent expense cost sales done. Machinery, what is this?
Asset.
Asset. Okay, so I will transfer it into the asset side. I will call machine here and put 80. Machine outstanding.
Expense.
Is it an expense or liability?
Liability.
If you remember what this item represented, this 80 lakh rupees represented that you have bought the machine but you not paid yet. So this is an obligation on you. So all the obligations are liabilities. That is why this is a liability. If that was not hint enough, the outstanding word should be enough of a hint. That outstanding means it's a obligation. Okay, so that is why this one will go into the liability side of the balance sheet. So I will call machinery outstanding with the value of 80 lakh rupees. Okay. Okay. Next one, accounts payable. What is that? Liability side of my balance sheet, I will write accounts payable of 175. Let's go to the next one, depreciation expense. What is this?
Expenses.
Expenses. So I will go to my income statement and write in the expenses, among the expenses, depreciation expense. What value? 20 lakh rupees. I will write 20 here. Sorry. I'll write 20 here. Okay. So the process is clear. What are we doing? We are going to every item of trial balance one by one. We are deciding whether the item is an asset, liability, income or expense. If it is asset or liability, it will go into balance sheet. If it is income or expense, it will go to income statement. As simple as that. Okay. Depreciation expense done. Interest expense. Where should it go?
Expenses.
This is also an expense. So that is why it will go to income statement. So I will write interest expense of 18 lakhs. Last one, interest outstanding.
Liability.
Liability. This represents the fact that now you are supposed to pay interest. That is why this is a liability. So in the liability side of my balance sheet, I will write interest outstanding. Interest outstanding of 18 lakhs. And that's it. You see how easy the process was? If you recall, in this entire process, the only trouble was the step number 1, which is when you were deciding the dual aspect. When the dual aspect is decided, everything is just procedure or mechanics. That if something is increasing or decreasing, follow our formula of debit or credit. That will give you journal entries. Once the journal entries are done, pass or transfer everything to trial balance. Ledgers. In ledgers, pass everything to different T accounts. Once the T accounts totals are there, transfer those T accounts total to trial balance. Once trial balance is done, identify every item and find out income, expense or asset or liability and transfer it. One last step is done, that is find out the profit of the period and transfer it in the name of retained earnings. Profit belongs to owners. So if you look at it very minutely, all that we have done is that earlier whatever was coming as pluses and minuses within retained earning has come in one separate statement now. And that statement itself is called income statement. And now if somebody gives you this statement, now you can take decisions based on this. Now you can compare that your sale versus previous year's sale, is it improving? Compared to this sale, how much salary you are spending? You can compare your performance with your peers. Similarly, you can compare that, are you paying too much of a rent or too little a rent? What is your cost of goods sold? What is your depreciation? Are you paying too much of interest or too little interest? How are you performing? All these things are possible only because we have reasons as well as the amounts. Okay. Now last step is find out the profit and transfer. So let us find out the profit. Can somebody quickly do the calculation and tell? So 450 is one positive number, rest all are negative. So subtract others from 450.
27.
So this one says that in this year you have generated net 27 lakh rupees. And who should it belong to? This should belong to the owners. That is why we will transfer it in the name of retained earnings. Okay. So we'll write retained earning 27 here, and that's all. If we do the total of the balance sheet now, it has to tally. Because every resource belongs to somebody, and this is the net. That this did not belong to anybody, that is why this belongs to owners. Now, once we have done everything, then both the sides have to tally. Let's check. If it doesn't, that means there is some error somewhere. Let's check.
Sir, 1125.
1125. Both the sides.
1125.
No.
11 crore,
Liability is
25 lakh.
10.
If you are getting something else, check it again. Some mistake, maybe some calculation mistake. This is what it has.
1125.
1125. That's it. That completes our story. So if you have understood up till here, you have understood how to prepare income statement and balance sheet. Now, all that can happen is some twist and turn here and there only because of some information where you will find it a little bit difficult to understand the dual aspect. That's all. Once you have figured out the dual aspect, then everything is just cakewalk. All you need to do is, let me zoom out and show you the entire process once again. That we kept on deciding the journal entries. Journal entries were based on asset, liability, income, expense, whether they are increasing or reducing. Based on that, we kept on identifying debits or credits. That is the way in which we finished all the journal entries. Once you are done with all the journal entries for the transactions, you are told, do the journal entry for the transactions which you are not told. There can be certain transactions which you are not told, which are implied. For example, depreciation is an implied transaction and interest becoming due is an implied transaction. Once you are done with that, then you can go to the next step of preparing a ledger. Ledger does what? Ledger contains all the T accounts, which is summary of all the different heads. So cash T account is summary of all the cash, capital is summary of all the capital, so on and so forth. Now, once you are done with transferring all the items into the corresponding T accounts, how would you do that? You will go to every item of journal entry and identify that which item and which side and what amount. Everything is already written. You just need to transfer without making any mistake. So once you have transferred everything, next step is to find out the balancing number. Once you have found out the balancing number, then you go to next step, step number 4. That is, write in one statement all the closing balances. Once you have found out all the closing balances, you can quickly check. This is only for the purpose of checking and convenience. Otherwise, if you would have wanted, if you are really sure, you could have avoided this step, trial balance. I don't encourage it right now, but once you are really frequent and let's say in exam or somewhere, the only question is asked is, give me income statement or balance sheet. Then if you're really sure that you will not end up making mistake, you can avoid trial balance. Straight away, these values, keep on identifying that whether they are income or expenses and transfer or asset or liability and keep on transferring them. But then, of course, you run at a risk of missing some item as well as missing some calculation. Okay, that is next step. That you transfer everything to trial balance and check whether debit side is equal to credit side. Once that is done, then we come to our final step of preparation of income statement and balance sheet. All we need to do is go to every item one by one and identify whether the particular item is income or expense or asset or liability. If it is income or expense, it will come into income statement. If it is asset or liability, it will come to balance sheet. After you have transferred everything, find out the profit and transfer it to retained earnings. That's all. Tomorrow we'll complicate this a little bit further, but that's all there is to it. Any questions? All good? See again. Good. Perfect then. We'll take a break here and we'll resume it from here tomorrow. So I'll see. Highly likely that I will give you a reading for tomorrow. So tomorrow we will do a case. Highly likely because I want to do a few things before that. But maybe if we have enough time, then we'll start with the case. So don't forget to read the case. I'm not even asking you to solve the case. So remember that I'm very considerate. I understand that tonight also you'll spend your time doing all those important stuff of getting into different clubs and committees. So that's all right. Do it, but don't forget to just read the case. Not kar sakte ho na? Okay. Just a quick round. Any questions? All good. Sab samajh mein aa gaya. Perfect then. My life is easy. Okay. See you all tomorrow then. Have fun.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a question.
So I do have a question. Props left.